New box office king, AI and media makes headlines again, and Sesame Street finds a new streaming home. All this and so much more on this episode of Beyond the Screen. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Screen. I'm your host, Ryan, and I'm joined, as always, by Jake Holtzclaw. Jake, you notice anything different?
No.
Not at all. Not a thing.
No, I've always looked like this.
Yes, always. No, we have, as I hinted at last week, we have a lot of new things going on. In fact, you could see us on the entirety of your screen. You don't see the bright little green outline from Discord, so there's that. We're a little more professional. You see our friend the duck, which is currently above Jake's. Yeah, Jake, perfect, right there. Don't do that. We have hopped to StreamYard, an official streaming platform. They record a little bit, and so we wanted to kind of up the ante on our podcast episodes. We got new webcams. We won't say what those webcams are, but they look a lot better. And I am so happy that we are able to do this. But this isn't all the new stuff, and I'm very excited to announce the third member of our team. That's right, Beyond the Screen is growing. We have a new member, and this member is none other than the amazing Emily Keller. So everybody, welcome Miss Emily Keller.
Hello, I'm Emily. I went to school with Ryan and Jake. I'm a fellow broadcasting friend, and I'm being brought on as a director and social media specialist. So if you like what you see on this new platform, then I'm the person behind it. But if you didn't, I was not part of that whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was not me.
And in fact, she has about 4, maybe 5 weeks, like some extended period of time between now and whenever, to blame me for all the mistakes, because until we're kind of more comfortable, until we're in a position to kind of launch, I'm going to be directing. And so I'm going to be pushing the buttons and reading and looking at Jake's nice face. And so I'm going to be really distracted for a really long time. So if you see any mistakes, it was Emily. And that's all I'm going to say is, even if it were me, I'm going to be like, Emily. And so, yeah. No, but Emily, we're super stoked to have you. Just you in this call is just, it's an amazing day. And so anything that you want to tell the people, like before we kind of let you go here? She's going to stick around, so we might hear her thoughts on some things, might not. No promises with that. I don't want to put her on the spot. But anything you want the audience to know about you?
Not much. I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to observe and learn for the next couple of weeks. And I'm excited to dive into the podcast realm again, because back at school, I did a lot of podcasting stuff. And I also worked at a radio station before. So it's nice to go ahead and get into the audio editing field and dive in here. So.
All right. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and I can still see you down there. Jake can't. So I will try to keep an eye. If you have something you want to pop in on, you try to let us know.
I'll wave you down.
But yeah, wave me down. But for right now, we'll see you later, Emily. And thank you again for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Get out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like, so you ever feel like someone's watching you? Well, now it's true.
Yeah. This is the closest to a live stream we've done yet, and so it's like I said I was kind of nervous, and a lot of that is because I know someone's actually live listening. So now if I flub up words, which is a constant, there's going to be someone there to hear it.
I'm glad I have a third, just in case you screw up a word and you try to
No, listen, that was on you, and that was not on me, and I refuse any blame for that.
Which time? Because you did
the big one. That's what I'll say. The one that made me look really bad. That one, not the major ones. But we always begin our shows by asking one all important question. How are you doing, Jake? What you been into?
Oh, dude, I just got a phone call today saying, "Yo, we have an apartment ready for you. It is ready to move in a month." And I'm like, "Awesome, that's great." I had to go to a monthly to last the extra stint.
Yeah.
And my apartment that I'm living in now requires a 2-month notice. So make that make sense. So yeah. I have to pay for about another month overlapping with the new apartment's rent. I have to pay a month's rent to my old apartment, even if I'm not there.
Yeah, me and my people that I live with, we did about the same thing. And it was mainly because we were trying to buy out of a really bad situation. And it is the worst when you have to pay 2 rents.
Yeah.
You're like, ah! Yeah.
and I'm one guy.
Yeah. So
You
that's
had
a much more difficult position.
yeah, like, I'm good for it, but, like, I really wish I coulda bargained, and they were not having it because, I don't just pay one guy my rent, I pay a property management company.
Yeah.
So, there is no skirting the rules with, with my leasing agent or whatever, or property manager, I don't even know what the title is, but, there's no skirting the rules, even as much as she may like me, um there's no skirting the rules because a higher power said no.
Yeah. That is a tough predicament.
Mm,
So, I'm doing great. Again, always thank you so much for asking and for,
yeah, my
caring
problems are
enough
always
to see how I'm
bigger.
doing. I'm doing absolutely fantastic. I went to the most Christian like white guy bachelor party of my life, and it was the most fun I've ever had. We played ultimate frisbee and went to like which Activate is the name, and I almost got ahead of myself. It's a place called Activate, which is like a not quite an escape room, but it's like those videos you see where it's like the ground is like every tile is a light, like an LED light, and it changes, and you got to avoid the red, and there are sensors and stuff. You got to like press on the blue ones or step on the blue ones and all that. And there were like 8 or 9 rooms of these things, and we just were running back and forth with like, dude, it was a blast. And so I had a fun time. I am in the wedding, not getting married, but I'm in the wedding in a couple of weeks, so or closer to a month. So that'll be fun. But yeah, that's how I'm doing. Also,
Are you a groomed man?
I am a groomed man. I mean, not right now,
Awesome.
but I will be.
No,
Yeah.
no, yeah, but you're not the bestest
I'm not
of
the
the groomed
bestest groomed
men.
man. Yeah, I didn't earn that title. I think I was beat
I
out by
got
a
you.
brother. So yeah,
Whatever.
weak. Yeah, soft
Whatever,
choice.
dude.
No, I'm just kidding. Uh, but getting back into film and media, I have discovered a new show. So for those who've been watching, I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and I've been keeping up with The Last of Us. I'm late to the game, but I've gotten into The Pit, the medical drama from Max from HBO. Oh my goodness. That is one of the best shows I've seen in a really long time. I have heard a lot about it just from spoken word. I've not really looked into it because I don't want to get spoiled. There are 15 episodes. The season, there's one season so far, and from what I've heard, they've already renewed for a second. But each episode is an hour throughout one day in the ER of this hospital in Pittsburgh, and it is insane. It is so accurate. It's so cool. Like I worked as a multimedia professional in a healthcare setting for a long time, and like right after college, and it's kind of crazy. Like I get like almost nostalgia watching, and this is a show. I've heard that it had a low budget, and when you watch it, what's really cool about it is it's shot like all handheld. Like there is no there's no stillness. So you really do feel like you're walking through the ER from case to case with all these doctors and such. So it's really cool. Very well done. All the acting in it is phenomenal. I'm about halfway through the first season. So go watch The Pit. That's what I've been watching lately, and I thought I'd bring it up. But yeah, fantastic watch.
I have not seen The Pit, nor do I care for the goriness that Ryan has described to me in a Waffle House.
Yeah, we were in a waffle. I was like the blood, Jake.
The blood, the tracheotomy or whatever.
Yeah, they did a trach or a trach or whatever. It's where they like
Yeah.
you can't breathe, so they like slice your neck and they put in a tube and stuff. You see it, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
pretty gnarly. It's like it wasn't as bad for me, but I've had another friend who recommended it who is not into horror a lot like you, and he was like, it was the most disgusting. And I watched it and I was like, that's pretty gross, but not terrible. So if you have a stomach for it, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's like the gore is fine. But if you just can get through that, just turn your eyes and just watch for the story. It's so worth it. It is so worth it. It is fantastic.
You're not sucking me into a Grey's Anatomy,
No,
are you?
no, 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 no. It's not a soap. It's like medical professionals have watched this show and are blown away by how accurate it is.
Okay.
So I would give it a good recommendation.
If I didn't have a podcast to do on Mondays, man, I'd watch it.
Bro, I just don't sleep.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's gonna get off this call and he's gonna go watch it. 2 of them. And go to
Probably.
bed at 2 a.m.
I'm not even lying. Probably. Yep. Yep. And on that
So-
note, I think it's about time for us to officially hop in to our first segment, which is always box office results / news. And we have a little fun trick up our sleeves with these. This is going to be a regular occurrence from episode to episode. Bam! Look at that. Look down.
There.
I want to, like, what's funny is the podcast listeners who are just doing this audio are like, what the heck is happening?
Nothing happened.
Yeah. So for those listening in their cars, sorry to freak you out there. I lagged really hard. At the bottom, we have a ticker, and it is showing all of our box office results as we talk about them. So you guys can kind of get a quick head start and understand what we're talking about, and we can give further details as we go. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Number one this past weekend is Final Destination Bloodlines. The Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema produced 6th installment into the accident-heavy slasher franchise. It's big with moviegoers in its opening weekend, opening to a very healthy estimated. We're still estimated because Box Office Mojo does not confirm numbers until like 9 p.m. or like whatever. So we're usually in the middle of a recording. So still estimated numbers, but an estimated 51 million domestically to take the top spot. This, understandably, is the biggest opening in franchise history, surpassing 2009's The Final Destination mark, 27 million. This is the first installment since 2011's Final Destination 5. Adding in another estimated 51 million internationally, the film has racked up an estimated 102 million globally on a $50 million budget, which that's a win if I've ever heard one. This is week one, and it's already doubled its just production value. We'll get into some of the marketing because it was not cheap. But this is they've probably at least broke even or gotten close in 1 week. So let me go forward. The film is directed by Adam Stein and Zach Lipovsky with a IMDb synopsis of, quote, plagued by a reoccurring violent nightmare. A college student returns home to find the one person who can break the cycle and save her family from the horrific fate that inevitably awaits them. So in short, death, which if you don't know anything, we're 6 films deep, okay? Like Final Destination, if you don't know, death is like a character. That's why accidents happen. Like Final Destination, the whole like, oh, random things will fall and kill you, or what's the big one is like the logs flying off the back of a. That's because death itself is trying to unalive you, is trying to make you not be. And the reason for that is because if certain people, they have premonitions and they see it, and so they avoid it, and death is like, nuh-uh, and gets very angry. So with that, this film in essence is a family is being targeted by death specifically because one of their older relatives avoided death before. So they're multiple decades after the initial event, which isn't something we've seen so far. Historically, it's always been like immediately after you avoid death, all of a sudden, bang, there's death trying to get you. So this family's been around for a long time, and all of a sudden the family starts being picked off one by one. It is a higher power, if you will. So with a cinema score of a B+ and a resounding, I mean, an insane 93% from Rotten Tomatoes on the tomato meter, that's a great result for them. Jake, why did this film perform so well?
I feel like my take is Final Destination, it being the 6th one. It's just like one of those films that everybody thinks of when that log truck, is in front of them, right? It's like, oh, it's the Final Destination. Oh no. And it's like, you hear that and people say that around you all your life. I mean, I don't know when the first one came out, but I mean, I would assume several years back.
The 90s, I think.
Even and so our generation, if it was the 90s, heard that growing up throughout our lives is like, oh, that's a Final Destination level thing. And so now that we're old, and even the people who are younger than us are old, and the people who are older than us are old, we now are all able to be like, oh yeah, Final Destination.
Yeah.
And we're all going to go watch it because now we have adult money and are able to see movies like that. I would attribute it to that, is they've got a long running, and this is just one of those, I think one of those like instances where Bloodlines does something a little different to this franchise, and people just want to go watch it's a level of also Sharknado absurdity that people want to go watch how these people are dying.
Yeah, it definitely, like, a regular phrase I use is gore porn. I think it hits on that pretty hard. But the thing is, too, is that, like, to separate it from Sharknado, because Final Destination's way better than Sharknado.
Right.
It's got a cooler premise. Like, it actually, like there's something about it that is still mythical and scary. Because, like, how do you avoid death itself? It's like the reason why the last Puss in Boots movie worked. Like, death as a character is such a cool concept, especially when done right. And a lot of times Final Destination has done it right. Have they done it wrong a
Yeah.
lot? Yes. Like, it's a joke that the franchise has gone on so long. And you make such an interesting point because the last one came out when I was 10. So it's
Right.
like, this is the first Final Destination of my life that I remember as an adult that I can make the choice. So maybe that's a lot of it too, because of what you said, like, oh, all of our parents are like, Final Destination. But another part too is like, apparently, like, it's just a good story. It's
Yeah.
unique. It's interesting. I've seen some people call it way too campy and like some of the kills are cartoonish, but that's like the point.
Well, yeah, that is Final Destination.
Yeah.
I would expect it to be cartoony.
Yeah.
I saw a portion of the trailer and it was something like he avoided death or something, and the two characters knew what would happen if you did avoid death, and so they kind of like looked at each other with like, "Oh no." And then
He's
in
gonna
the
do it.
background, like something he's standing next to something and it just explodes. And I that was probably the funniest thing because it was like, "Wait, he survived a whatever?" And then they look and then it cuts to him exploding. It's just I don't know if that's actually in the movie or if that's just like a trailer, but
They're
that
fun.
that got me rolling. That
Some of
made me
them,
laugh.
dude, some of them are just nasty, but there are a lot of them that are like that. And I feel like that's the point. Another reason, and this is another a fun little thing we can now do through StreamYard. So for those watching on YouTube, and or you can also watch it on Spotify. You don't have to leave the app. Just turn on your phone. Here is the other thing. The marketing for this film is insane. Case in point, these. You could see them. We could show you what we're talking about. So the logs driving down LA, the I don't even know what these are called, just the workers putting up the flyers, like dying a gruesome death and doing
Billboard?
the what?
Hey Ryan, that's a billboard.
Well, of course, a billboard, but what are the workers called that are
okay.
putting those up?
Billboard workers.
Billboarders.
Billboarders.
Well, either way, the point is that like this is a fun, and these are just like some of the few. There's a lot, and this is what I was referring to as like it seems like they spent a lot of money doing this. I don't care. This looks awesome, and I'm really happy for Bloodlines and for Final Destination. Any thoughts, Jake?
I noticed that billboard was owned by a company that we use for our billboard sometimes. So I was like, hey, that might be somewhere near here. Maybe. I don't
No,
know
I think
how
that one was in
expansive
LA.
that was. It
I think
okay?
so.
Well, then it's a national company then.
Well,
Billboard company.
shocker.
But other than that, I didn't see any of the marketing here in dox myself, Cincinnati. I saw nothing for it. But I also am a odd duck when it comes to marketing, and I generally have my blinders on as the young ones do. As soon as I see a sponsored post on TikTok, I swipe immediately. I don't even get it. I don't even let them. Even if it's something I'm super interested in,
Yeah.
I don't let them.
There's something really like when I'm watching, like scrolling, and I see a sponsored tab underneath whatever, I'm like, man, you're cheating. Like, this isn't
Yeah.
natural. So I just scroll by. I get that because I feel like, man, you dirty. Like,
Insta swipe, man. I instantly swipe.
yeah. I've been trying to, so a lot of my job that I currently do have, like, we're trying to get into that realm. So I'm trying to be better personally because I know it reaches people, but also it's like, I completely get it because that's exactly how I feel too.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and look through, I guess to wrap up, it's probably a mixture of everything we've talked about and the marketing, but I really wanted to use the marketing as a ploy to play with my new toys, which were the ability to show you what we're talking about. So the rest of the box office top 5 is really familiar. So there's not a lot to talk about from here on out, except for what comes after 5. So we're going to go ahead and run through this. Finishing second is Marvel's Thunderbolts. The superhero flick earned $16.5 million in its third weekend in theaters, a 50% drop from the previous week's gross. Despite having earned $325 million globally, the film is still in trouble as it costs over $180 million to produce and another $100 million to market. So now you might be asking, 325 is still more than 280, Ryan. And you know what?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're very right. You are very correct. However, something we've not brought up, something we haven't really discussed, which is an interesting fact. Theaters take almost 50% of all ticket sales.
Oof.
So, in reality, Disney has brought home about $165.5 million on a $280 million budget with marketing. So
And people say they like this film.
yeah, like it's very highly rated. The Marvel's back is what you hear, but yeah, not good.
So not.
Kind of sad,
But is
actually.
it? I was gonna say. I mean, is it because they lost the kid audience? Because I would not call that film child friendly as much as I would maybe the Avengers.
I think that so the thing is that everyone for years now they've been saying superhero fatigue. And I think
Yeah.
that this is how superhero fatigue is actually represented is you have Marvel and Disney spending hundreds of millions and they're making
Yeah.
hundreds of millions, but they're not breaking even because like
Yeah.
you're going to have that audience that's going to get them to 3 or 400 million, but they might not every film's going to cross 5, which is what
Yeah.
they need to cross to even like make a penny. So I think that's where we see superhero fatigue. It's just going to be a slow thing. I think historically leading up to this point, it's because they've just been putting out bad product. But yeah, I think that this is what superhero fatigue actually looks like. I'd be interested to see if it's a Marvel fatigue because Superman comes out this summer, and that's got a lot of hype behind it. And I'm
does.
interested to see what the success ratio compared to Marvel is with that. That's going to be very interesting. So moving down the line, we're going to go ahead and go to number 3. So coming in third place is another familiar face. It's Warner Brothers' Sinners. With nothing more to add, because we've been talking about this film for 5 weeks now nonstop, this film is just succeeding. After another great weekend, it earned $15.4 million domestically. That's only a 30% drop from last week. It's not dropped more than 30% or maybe 35% in its entire run. You just heard Thunderbolts drop 50 in its from second to third. This film is in its 5th week, and it is still racking up money week after week after week, which is an unreal staying power for an original horror film. So the film thus far has surpassed 240 million domestically and 316 million globally to date. So great job again from Sinners. Finishing 4th is a Minecraft movie, which is another Warner Brothers film. It's yet again in top 5, dropping to 4th for only the 2nd time after now 7 weeks in theaters. The film has earned 5.9 million this past weekend, pushing its earnings to 416 million domestically and over 928 million worldwide. I don't think it's going to cross $1 billion.
No.
It's not going to do it.
No, I don't think so.
It seemed like it was a lock to hit that mark just a few weeks ago, but it has slowed down. And I mean, they're going to get close to 950 million.
Yeah, I just think the parents are tired of the lava chicken and chicken jockey.
The fad has died, is what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Finishing 5th is yet again The Accountant 2. This rounds out our top 5, and Amazon MGM has a little bit of staying power, but not a lot. So the Ben Affleck and John Bernthal starring action sequel pulled in an estimated 4.9 million, bringing its totals up to 59 million domestically and 90.5 million globally. So I don't know the numbers on that one in particular, but that's just kind of a like it's probably close to breaking even.
The guys at work were like, The Accountant 2, like it's awesome. And then the other guy asked the other guy if he had watched it yet. And he's like, no. No. I was like, how are y'all excited for this movie? Because y'all saw the first one, but like, y'all not going to go see it?
Dude.
I guess they're waiting for streaming.
Yeah, I was about to say, The Accountant 2, you took the words right out of my mouth. That's going to be a streaming darling. It's going to be number 1 on Netflix or wherever it's at for like a month.
Amazon.
Well, duh, yeah, but Amazon will sell its some of its stuff to Netflix because Netflix pays so much for that. But yeah, it definitely will go to Amazon first, but you know what I mean. So we have some other notes. So finishing 6th, which we usually don't go this far, but I think it's hilarious because it's so weird. The Weeknd, the artist, the musician, he released a film, which I didn't see marketing for until like the week before, called Hurry Up Tomorrow, which stars himself, Jenna Ortega, and was it Barry Keoghan is in there?
Yeah.
Which was odd. It flopped.
Charlie D'Amelio was in it.
It earned 3.3 million. It's a fictionalized version of The Weeknd, who's the main character. It's the same music. It's the same like character, like it's the same person, but they're a fictionalized version of themselves. This film is a companion project to the album of the same name. And people did not like it. It earned a 14% from the tomato meter, which, okay. But audiences were like, no, this is a C-, which is yikes. That's bad. So I think that's hilarious. I don't know. I just think it's funny. Another news before we wrap up this segment. Coming out this week, looking ahead to this Friday, May 23rd, we have Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, Lilo and Stitch, and Friendship, which gets an extended release. Friendship released to 60 theaters and grossed and came in 7th, I think. It still finished top 8 with only 60 theaters.
Yeah.
Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd are the stars of that one. That comes out Friday on an extended release, more nationwide, and I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, that one's gonna be. I think that one's a fun one that I don't know if I'm gonna go see in theaters, but I look forward to keeping that one in the watch list.
Yeah.
Eventually.
I want to see it in theaters. I'm excited.
Nate, so dude, name a day. Name a day. I'm just waiting on Ryan to call me and say, "Hey, we'll go on a movie date."
Yes.
We'll go on a movie date.
We got to do another review.
Yeah, we might even record it.
Dude, friendship review?
Friendship review. C-.
And on that note, we're going to go ahead and hop to our next segment. So, coming up after the break, we break down the biggest news from this past week in cinema. As you saw last week, we kind of revamped our news segment, so it's a little different. So stick around. We'll see you in just a second. And welcome back to Beyond the Screen. You've made it to segment 2, which is cinema news. We're doing things a little differently.
Was there supposed to be music on that?
No. There's
Okay.
never been
I didn't
music
hear
on that.
anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. In fact, our audience at home heard a nice sniff. You sniffled.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I sniffled?
Yeah. We definitely
I had to wipe
heard
my
that.
nose on my shirt.
Clowning you. No, it's okay.
Improve it.
No, it's okay. Don't do that. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next segment.
No, we believe you.
Always, yeah, we believe you, bro. Relax. We're going to move on to cinema news. We've had an interesting couple of days. And I didn't think we were going to add this to the show because we don't really talk about the video game space very often. Like we talked about Red Dead.
Every other episode. Not very often.
No, we talked about Red Dead and we talked about The Last of Us, but that's not like we're talking about the show, right? So it's like we bring up IPs that could be or have been, because video game adaptations are now everywhere. However, we've not talked about just a straight video game, and I didn't think I was going to do it until something interesting happened today. So Fortnite. They did a thing.
They did a thing. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, they released on their game a playable, I don't even want to call it a mod. It's just like a feature that you could do while you're in your battle royale, while you're in your match. You could be followed by an AI Darth Vader, powered by Google Gemini. This Vader will follow you around. It'll help you like attack other people. It uses the Force. I've seen a really funny clip where what the player's like, Darth, you, like throw an X-wing at him, and all you hear is him say throw an X, and an X-wing flies out of nowhere and absolutely like smashes this guy. Like it looks
the
really.
Fact that you can tell the character what to do,
and it doesn't
actually make plays.
Yeah, like
that's crazy.
It's pretty funny. But the goal of the feature was to allow players to directly speak to Darth Vader as if it's an interaction thing. So it's like if you had your mic hooked up, like you're talking to one of your squad, you could talk to a James Earl Jones type voice. That is just Darth Vader, and it is the caricature of Darth, and it is talking to you, and you're interacting. However, there are questions about ethics and whether or not this should be allowed, but that's not why we're here, because there's an infinitely more funny event that transpired, because just when you thought the internet could be a bad place, what happens when you put anything on the internet, specifically AI related?
Yeah.
It doesn't go well.
No.
And people wanted to see, can we make this thing say things?
Yeah. Bad words.
A lot of them. Yeah. It is, just to put it in short here, it has been homophobic, xenophobic, racist, cussed out players, but it's also talked about like Goku. I think the worst one that I heard, that I found, because I know it's a lot worse, I haven't delved into the rabbit hole. It described the Spanish language as a language for smugglers. Which is, and obviously that is the user coaxing that response, but the fact that it can be coaxed to say that is a problem. So wasn't going to talk about that. I think it's funny because it's like, what else did you expect? Like, where's the safeguards on this thing?
Yeah.
Like, you know AI better than I do.
So parameters, right? I know that if any of you all at home know, we had pretty bad weather Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in Kentucky, and I always watch Ryan Hall, which is a YouTube meteorologist who goes live during any kind of weather event. Usually East Coast because he's in Pikeville, but um, most of the time it's national, and he'll watch storms, and he's just my go-to. National Weather Service, whatever, weather bug, fine. But this guy, I turn on, I watch his live. He tells me when a storm's coming through, and he uses Google Gemini for his weather bot.
Yeah.
And the way that he talks to it, I don't know if he how many parameters he's got, but he's like super PG anyway.
Yeah.
And so, but he's got parameters on it to read chat. It's able to understand how to say certain cities. It's very smart because of the way that whomever one of his people built it to
Yeah.
be knowledgeable about the weather, um, and what certain mornings mean and all that. So it goes back to one of those questions, or one of those, and we'll talk about this as well, is with AI and OpenAI, who is ChatGPT, versus Google Gemini, versus everybody seems to have their own AI nowadays, which means in a capitalist economy, you want to be the first to put out the next new best thing,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't always take into account uh, the proper safeguards and the parameters to constrain something as powerful as AI. And so when Google Gemini uh, gave the option to Fortnite, or what you said, Llama, Dancing Llama, or
Or Llama Productions is like the
Llama Productions.
production side of Epic Games. Yeah.
So when it was presented, or somebody came up with the idea of using Google Gemini to do this, it was likely churn this out super quick, and get it out there, because Darth Vader's been in the game for quite a long time, and it's likely that they're going to be rolling out new characters, and Darth Vader might go away. I don't know. I'm trying to think about in the minds of this video game that is held on to, uh, I mean, gaming culture as a whole for many years now,
Yeah.
and they have to stay relevant. And so I can't imagine the fast-paced moving mechanisms within Llama Productions and Fortnite in general, because there is that pressure that, hey, if you slip up, if you make the people bored, as soon as people bored, you're gone.
Yeah.
So I I fear that it was a rushed job, and although it came out good, it did not have the necessary safety precautions and parameters to prevent um, the negligible behavior
Yeah.
that occurred.
But this is why
So
we have the conversations we do about AI, is because of exactly this. It's because of it's just misuse. Um,
yes,
and that could be a whole conversation in and of itself. But that you at home, ye old audience member, might notice or might be saying, "Hey, that's not film. That's not cinema." I know I lagged really bad. But that's okay.
yeah, we're working out the kinks.
Yeah.
Bear with us.
No. The reason that we're talking about this today is because the Actors Guild, SAG AFTRA, the biggest one in America, the one that went on strike with the Writers Guild this past year and a half. So, yeah, they are not happy. But not because of the ethics, not because of anything we've talked about, although they're great talking points and they add to this case in its own way. SAG AFTRA emphasized the rights talent have to control the rights of their digital replicas. So the reason why Epic Games and Llama Productions are able to use James Earl Jones is because before his death, he recognized, or at least in his opinion, there can be no other Darth Vader. Like my voice is so synonymous, or just is this character in such a way that if you get another actor, that actor it's not fair to them. So it's easier for me for my estate to sell off the rights to my voice digitally and just allow this character to live on in its present state, which I completely respect. And SAG AFTRA is even saying, hey, you're right. Like you are, like that is your right entirely. But they're going out of their way to set a precedent that is unlike any that we've seen thus far, in such a way that they want these companies to go out of their way to at least try to find an actor before they rely on AI. Case in point, they released a PR statement saying, quote, Fortnite's signatory company, Llama Productions, chose to replace the work of human performers with AI technology. Unfortunately, they did so without providing any notice of their intent to do this and without bargaining with us over appropriate terms. As such, we have filed an unfair labor practice charge with the NLRB against Llama Productions. So with that, I want to open the floor. Jake, fill me with your thoughts.
So I was unaware that they had to provide any notice of intent to SAG AFTRA if that they were not going to hire
I think
an
this is a
actor, a
precedent
voice
again.
actor.
I think they're trying to make this a thing. They're like, hey, like we have actors who can do this, and you're not, and that's like the worry about AI taking jobs. So I think that's like,
Yeah,
hey, you could
I,
use AI, but you got to run it by us first.
which will not hold up in court. I don't think because you can't just say like, okay, they're the largest union for actors in America, and yeah, they can strike because of it, and yeah, it might hurt Llama Productions or try to get as many people to boycott Fortnite. Well, let me tell you, the people who play Fortnite don't give a rip about the largest union for actors in America. That's not the audience. That's not who Fortnite players care about. But you can't just try to set this precedent because like I don't know, like you can't require Llama Productions to call you and say, "Hey, we're not going to use a voice actor." Okay, bye.
Yeah,
I just don't think like that just doesn't fly. Like I don't have to call the police and say, "Hey, I'm going to go speed down 75."
yeah,
I don't know. Like, and that's probably a bad analogy, but like I'm saying is like I don't think SAG has that authority, nor would they ever because they're just not an entity that can claim that. Whereas
yeah,
like maybe a government entity like the ATF or like any of these like the FBI, whereas like you kind of have to tell me when you're gonna, you know, set off this controlled explosion or whatever. I don't know. Like there are government entities that need to know when you're gonna set off a controlled explosion.
yeah.
That stuff.
Oh
Bad
yeah. I mean, like
analogies,
you have to
right? But like
communicate. Yeah,
I don't think SAG has the right to claim that authority over production companies.
I think I don't know because the
I
thing
don't
is,
it's not like that I disagree with them though. I don't disagree with them. It's just like I don't think they have the right to.
I think that where this is different, because I don't think if you look at it objectively with how the letter of the law is right now, they don't stand up in court. However, with AI being this is such new territory that it's like, is this something that does have more ground because it's so new? Because there's no precedent on AI. Like there's just isn't.
Yeah.
We're making it. Like it's so
Yeah.
it's like, is this something that the federal government, because that's where this is going to go, is you're going to get a filed complaint and Epic's going to sue, and it's just going to go back and forth, and then someone somewhere at some level is going to have to make a choice, and it's going to be, do we set a precedent to say, look, you gotta, like, we can't allow this technology that is designed and is growing to be better than us. Like that's the whole point. It's like we'd make this so that we don't have to do it, or it's like if it's not better than us, then what's the point in us even implementing it? So I understand from both sides of it. It's a lot cheaper I mean, think about Epic. Or Llama. Like they don't have to worry about it. They pay for the rights from Disney, and it's probably one flat rate fee, and they get it for X project. They can't just use it indefinitely, but they use it
In
for.
terms of Google Gemini, it'll also cost them. Google will need that paycheck as well. I've learned through Ryan where he went over his limit of tier one during the live stream, and the chatbot stopped working.
Yeah,
And he has two chatbots. One's smarter than the other that can read the chat and answer questions from the chat and tell Ryan things about the chat. But he's got another one that he has to explicitly ask questions, and that's
yeah.
pretty much it. That's all it can do.
Mm.
And the chat was like, "Well, what if you ask the first AI chatbot how to fix the other chatbot?" And then the first chatbot, because it was Gemini based, it can also do normal AI stuff,
Yeah.
and it told him that he needs to pay for the higher tier, and it told him how to do it through like going to billing and paying and upping the
Wow.
tier.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where I was going with that, but like Google will also want their money, because if a small time streamer who a streamer, YouTuber, meteorologist who live streams for maybe it could be 24-hour stints can max out an AI, and this is just one guy asking it questions or having it read chat,
Yeah.
um, and he's able to max out tier one. Imagine, I don't even know how many people play Fortnite right now, but like 50,000 people is probably a very conservative number
Yeah.
daily.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Darth Vaders, dude.
Yeah.
So Google, you want people get mad about like how much energy and AI uses and how much waste it is to ask it how to do something. Imagine 50,000 Darth Vaders being xenophobic.
Yeah.
That is a hefty price tag from Google, and Llama Productions or Epic Games has to pay that bill as well, on top of James Earl Jones rights. So it's not even that James Earl Jones is going to be the hefty penny. No, it's likely that AI that has to run in every single game that's loaded.
Yeah. So now my question is that cheaper than just paying an actor to take this to fill the mantle? The thing is, too,
Um,
I feel like the answer to that's probably no, but the point is that you want it to be interactive.
yeah, right. So
So
there's your quality over quantity, and
yeah, yeah.
or quantity over quality, or whatever
Conversation that
price,
we
the,
had
the
privately that
triangle,
no one
the
knows about what we're
triangle,
talking about.
the price, the quantity, the quality. So
Yeah.
you can have two.
Yeah, I find it interesting, and I don't. Again, I'm in the same boat with you. I'm really interested to see where this goes because, to be honest, while in a normal sense this wouldn't have any room to stand, it probably will because of the unknown.
Especially if it goes high
Yeah,
high up in the courts.
yeah.
Um, but I mean, we'll get political here. Do you think the people who are going to be making the decision are well equipped to make decisions about AI?
A1.
Probably not. I would say anybody in the court systems probably is ill-equipped to make decisions about AI and the future of AI.
No, and I think you're exactly right. And on
Like,
that note,
unfortunately, I'm not even able, right? I
you
would not claim to be able to make decisions
stay
on
right on
laws.
that note because that is actually our next topic of conversation. Hollywood elites send tax wish list to Donald Trump. What that means, last Monday, this happened it wasn't reported on until Tuesday. So it was like we didn't get to see it. We were in probably recording when it happened. Last Monday, a group of entertainment unions, including SAG AFTRA, the Writers Guilds, producer guilds, etc., as well as studios and two of Trump's personally appointed ambassadors, sent the White House their tax wish list. While the letter didn't directly mention the president's 100% tariff claims that he had done the weekend before, um, it definitely seems to be that way. This seems to be like, because the timing is really odd for it not to be. So, after thanking the president for the support you have shown our industry, the letter goes on to describe how over 80 countries offer drastic tax incentives to production companies willing to shoot within their countries, a measure that is luring away American films. The letter urges for a national approach to retaining American productions, including an extension of Section 181, which quickens the process for a $15 million deduction on production expenses and doubles the cap of that production expenses being whatever to 30 million, and then for 40 million when shot in low-income areas. So they're essentially saying, hey, we want to get a deduction on what we spent quicker. We want it now, and we want it to be double what it has been, and even more so beyond that when we're in an area that might be threatening to our business. So, and I put that in air quotes. So the letter also asks for extensions to sections 199 and 461. So section 199 reduces corporate taxes on domestic manufacturing, which you might be thinking that does not cover film. They want it to cover film. They want filmmaking to fall under domestic manufacturing. Henceforth, manufacturing gets a reduced corporate tax federally. So they want that to be a thing. And 461, which I can't describe it better than Variety can. I can add a little bit of context afterwards, but Variety says, quote, this allowed companies to carry back their net operating losses for up to 5 years, thus using those losses to lower prior year tax bills. So in essence, studios can use past losses to offset taxes in profitable years. So if they have had a bad year, they can hold on to that, what would be a lower tax because they didn't make as much, and apply that to a year when they made a lot. And that would essentially allow them to retain more of their earnings during good years. and they can do that up to 5 years. This was something that 461 especially was something that was in place until 2017, if I remember correctly, and then was reinstated in COVID and then went away in 2022. So that one in particular, I feel like they want to come back. But all three of them, and that's something we talked about last week, was make it more affordable. Well, here you go. Literally, as we were talking about it last week, these unions, execs, and these ambassadors to the government were already putting that kind of list together. So the letter also emphasizes the MPA's 2023 report, which shows American entertainment exports up to $15.3 billion in trade surplus, which is world leading, which is what we were talking about. I think we talked about this last week too, was how, what are you talking about putting 100% tariff? What are you talking about? We're losing our manufacturing with, if you want to see film that way, because we lead the world in that. We export films and we make $15.3 billion, according to the Motion Pictures Association. So I don't know exactly where this is coming from, but so this was also signed by a who's who in Hollywood, including Sylvester Stallone, John Vought, and a lot more. A lot more. So Jake, with that being said, you at home, you're about to see a little bit from that letter because we have it, and I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, my thoughts. I am not a tax professional, so this stuff kind of puts me to sleep. But it does raise the question where I like if you can backpack losses over 5 years, but say you have 5 bad years.
Yeah.
I see that like some people will take that gamble and not pay their debts because they are holding out for the bestest of years. Um, or if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe not, but
No,
it
I get
does
what you're
make me
saying.
worried, and I don't know. I don't know if we'll see some people. We'll see some production studios struggle a bit when that happens, and we might see a new landscape on because this will change budgets, right? This will change how much money people are willing to put towards films they believe in or don't believe in. Um, I mean, a film shouldn't get made if they don't believe in it, but it is a gamble, right? Am I going to put 200 billion on this or 200 million?
Yeah.
So, which Disney has continued to gamble and has lost most of them. And so, does Disney just get the tax cuts for 4 years and hopefully one hits? Which this Lilo and Stitch one, spoilers, for the rest of the podcast. I'm worried for it.
Hmm.
So, but that's my 2 cents. I don't know much about the legal jargon or taxes and things like that. I wish I did because I could probably do my taxes without TurboTax.
Yeah.
um, I don't know. It seems to be a good thing if the unions are asking for it, and it hopefully will bring um, movies back, right,
Yeah.
to the states. But here's the thing: is like Lord of the Rings wouldn't look the way it did if it was shot in Arizona,
Yeah, right.
or Washington, or I mean, New Zealand is the reason Lord of the Rings looks the way it does. So you're never not going to be uh, filming elsewhere if you need landscapes that only New Zealand can provide.
Yeah, I think you're hitting on a point that's exactly right. Is there is a middle ground. I think that creatively you should be able to film wherever you want that tells your story. But then again, people who are making these decisions are more worried about a bottom dollar than they are about the creative process. So that will never happen. But you want to see that. But I don't know, to go back in the conversation now that we've actually seen this happening, because that's what we talked about before, was you want more American films made in America, make it feasible and like reasonable for them to do that. Now that we're seeing it, there has to be kind of like a give and take here. You don't want it to be so far swayed in the direction of the bigger companies, because that's what this sounds like. It sounds a lot like, oh, like Disney, like you're talking about. They can have as many of these types of years as they want, but when they have that 1 year where they have $3 billion franchises doing whatever they need to do, they could just offset all their taxes onto that 1 year and they're good. How will that will drastically impact the A24s and the Neon Pictures and the Focus Features who don't have that kind of money. So it is, I want to see this and have some safeguards in place for the small guy, but there needs to be room for the creativity, because again, like you said, Lord of the Rings is a perfect example. Another example too is Harry Potter is not made in America.
Right.
Harry Potter is extensively and exclusively made in the UK. with
and has actors.
British talent. That's exactly what I'm saying. They
Strictly.
don't hire. Robin Williams was supposed to be, there's a theory or a rumor anyway. I don't know if it was real, but I've always heard that Robin Williams was like wanting to be in the Harry Potter series. And they said, nah, because they wanted only English or from the UK actors. So do those franchises make it over here if we're taxing the heck out of them on imports and we're not allowing like, oh, well, we can always have, will there really be an American Star Wars? I was going to say Harry Potter. Star Wars is kind of the American Harry Potter when you think about it.
Oh yeah, fair enough. I do see people draw that parallel.
When you describe them at their base level, they're very similar.
Yeah, well, that's a good story.
Yeah.
Then
yeah,
the old guide, the young, whippersnapper, the dragon.
Snapper.
Yeah, and the conclusion, the sword. Don't forget the sword. There's an art to storytelling that I've learned is you, the guide, the sword, the dragon, the conclusion.
Yeah. This is the last thing. We're going to move on because we got to get through this segment. But I do think. So I don't know what I just did, but God said, "Nuh-uh, you're wrong." So I don't know if you saw that, guys, but something fell behind me. It's kind of spooky. Anyway,
I heard it.
I love the idea. You probably heard it too at home. I love the idea that J.K. Rowling, because the story is like she was like sitting on a train and like the story came to her, like Harry came to her. I love the idea that she was just this big Star Wars fan in like the 90s. She's literally just thinking
that's
about
what it was.
Yeah, she's just thinking about Star Wars. Yeah. Anyway, we'll go ahead and move on here to our next topic of discussion. We have Hunger Games news. Turns out Ralph Fiennes is taking on another villainous character. If the guy he's like rival with Gary Oldman for like the scariest, like the guy that can always play the villain. He just does it so well. Ralph Fiennes is set to play President Snow in the Sunrise on the Reaping adaptation. Now the third actor to play the complicated tyrant, Fiennes joins the late great Donald Sutherland and Tom Blythe to have such an honor, such a complicated character. We've seen him throughout every kind of generation of his life. Obviously, Sutherland is going to be the guy that everyone thinks, as at least they should. But I think Fiennes will give him a run for his money because he's so good at what he does, and he's that perfect middle ground between Blythe and Donald. So I'm excited to see what goes on here. So a quick reminder, again, we talked about, at least I said off the jump. I kind of went over the head a little bit. Fiennes plays a lot of villains. If you don't remember, he was Lord Voldemort. We were just talking about Harry Potter. The guy literally portrayed the essence of evil many years ago. Oh. He's also Chef Slowick in The Menu. He's Amon Goeth in Schindler's List, which I would argue is his most evil character because he's a lot more complicated. Not so much the essence of evil. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is this guy plays complicated characters a lot, and he's very good at it. So we've talked about Sunrise on the Reaping a lot. Just to remind you at home, Sunrise on the Reaping follows the origins of Hamish Abernathy, who participates in the 50th Hunger Games. He's from District 12. Or it's called the Quarter Quell as the 50th Hunger Games, often considered to be the bloodiest rendition in the series ever. So it's going to be really exciting. I am beyond. Who is it? Maya Hawke is also in it. She's. We literally just talked about this yesterday. What character is she? Wiress, is that her name?
Yes.
She plays a young Wiress. It's going to be very exciting. So in a new statement following Fiennes casting, producer Nina Jackson states, quote, "We wanted to honor Donald Sutherland by having one of this generation's greatest actors play President Snow 24 years before Katniss Everdeen entered the arena. Working with Ralph, his name's Ralph, but he goes by Ray. I hear him called Ray Fiennes all the time. But working with Ralph has been on my bucket list since he traumatized me for life in Schindler's List. It's genuinely a thrill to welcome him to the Hunger Games." So I've already kind of given my thoughts. What do you think, Jake?
So, and we've got Jesse Plemons, right, as Plutarch.
Yeah.
So we're stacking in the cast here, and I wish I knew. I have not seen like all of the Hunger Games. Like I've seen the first one. I know what happens in the first one. I might know what happens in the second one. And that's kind of where my memory fades. And I don't even think I probably haven't seen the third one.
Yeah.
And then we just had one come out, right? Recently.
Yeah, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. That one I love that
which
one.
I'm told is good. So
that's got Rachel Ziegler in it.
Is that 4? Or is that 3?
That's 5.
Dude,
I'm pretty
so
sure
out of it.
because there are 3 books and one of them got separated into parts 1 and 2.
I knew that. That was Mockingjay.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that there are 4 or 5. This is going to be
They had a
5 or
Catching
6.
Fire. I think I've seen Catching Fire.
So it's Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay 1 and 2, then Songbird and Snakes, and now Sunrise on the Reaping. That's 6.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's 6 now. Yeah, I have only seen up to 1 and 2.
They're
So
they're all pretty good. I know people have their opinions, but I think this is one of the more solid franchises. Like there's not really like there are your good ones and your ones, but they're all I think they're all pretty good.
after I told my lovely girlfriend that, she's like, I've been making you fall asleep to Hunger Games, like, what are they called on YouTube? Just like deep dives
Yeah,
for
lore.
like
Yeah.
weeks, and you haven't even seen, you barely remember the second one. And I'm like, whatever, you know. I
And
kind
I'm
of
just
just
a guy.
I just kind of go to bed, just the nonsensical rambling from the TV as I go off into dreamscapes. So, but yeah, now if it's gonna be anybody to bring me into the Hunger Games movies, it's gonna be Ralph, Mr. Ralph Fiennes.
I want it to be me so bad. Just I'm the one who got you into the Hunger Games after your girlfriend's like,
Please watch it.
yeah, Hunger Games
Please.
deep dives, and it's like, but Ryan said, so now I'm interested.
Ryan said I have to watch it, so I have to watch it.
It's your homework for the podcast. You're required.
Great. I'm gonna tell her that. She's gonna be like,
You're
I've been
welcome.
telling you to watch. Yeah, she's gonna be pissed.
I cannot wait to get that phone call. So with that, I think we're good to move on because it's a fantastic cast. I feel like they hit everywhere. There's not one
Yeah.
bad cast for these guys 24 years before the original story. So I'm stoked.
Well, we don't know Haymitch yet, right? Aren't we supposed to get, if this was told during?
Yes,
Would
so
we get
Haymitch is going to be our
Haymitch?
main character. I don't remember. I feel like he's got a cast, but I don't remember.
Okay. I'm not. I was on IMDb because I had, sorry, forgot Jesse Plemons' name. I knew Plutarch, but I didn't know if it was going to be
Heavensby.
Heavensby. But I'm not seeing. Oh shit! Never mind. Sorry, cuss word. Joseph Zada, which I am unfamiliar with his game. Um, he's not done a lot of stuff. This might be his breakout.
Yeah.
He's been in TV shows.
I'm excited, and I just don't think they've not had a bad casting yet. And at this point, I trust them. So we're gonna go ahead and move on here. Let me do this first. Warner Bros. Discovery's Max to return to original name HBO. Hold on. Do we have a? Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about Emily. I thought she was down there waving.
Oh,
No,
no,
you're
I
pointing
was
at our
like,
thing. Sorry, Emily. I didn't mean to scare you there. She's looking up. Yeah. Anyway, I forgot you couldn't see her. Look at the ticker, please, because it makes us very happy. Warner Brothers Discovery's Max to return to original name HBO Max this summer. Yes.
it's kind of like one of those.
After
on,
2
guys.
years, yeah. The HBO branding will return to the Max platform after the confusing rebrand. The goal of the removal of the HBO title was to centralize the new incoming content from Discovery into one location and mark a really strong shift towards a more family-friendly content. So the idea was HBO is think about The Sopranos, think about Game of Thrones, think about they're known for very adult-oriented, very not kid-friendly. They thought, well, if we get rid of HBO, we'll still pop out these HBO type shows, but we're going to focus on family friendly, bringing in Discovery. So we're just going to kill it. No one understood. And to make things worse, HBO branded shows were leading the way for Warner. If anything, they were the reason Warner's still afloat. So you got to think of White Lotus and The Last of Us and now The Pit, right? As I said before, Game of Thrones is still popping money. So it's you have HBO shows leading the way. Warner said, you know what? We understand our problems. We understand that this is, and I can respect a good old fashioned I was wrong. And this seems to be what they are insinuating or at least outright stating. They state in a press release, quote, returning the HBO brand into HBO Max will further drive the service forward and amplify the uniqueness that subscribers can expect from the offering. The release continues, quote, it is also a testament to Warner Bros. Discovery's willingness to keep boldly iterating its strategy and approach, leaning heavily on customer data and insights to best position itself for success. In this same release, Warner Brothers claims that they have added 22 million subscribers to the service just in the past year alone. I don't know if I believe that. I'm not even gonna lie. That seems like a lot. But
Yeah.
that's what they claim. And following the announcement of HBO's return, the company launched a fleet of memes taking aims at itself. So the irony was not lost. The funniest thing, and I've discovered it naturally because I was curious if they went ahead and did it. Once I first heard it, I was like, oh, did they already change it? So I pressed on Max's profile. In a reference to one of its shows, Max's social media bios read, "These rebrands are trying to murder me," which I thought was really funny when I naturally found it. So what do we say
Well, I
about?
mean, you have to make fun of yourself, right?
Yeah. I've seen
Um,
there are some they've got their actors like holding like they're on a couch and they're holding pieces of paper, it's silently moving it, and it's like it went through all of the different names. It was like HBO Go, and then it was HBO Now, then it was HBO Max, then Max, and now back to HBO Max. Like it is really
yeah.
funny.
Um, I didn't necessarily understand the connection between HBO Max and the more, I would call it raunchy, uh, is how my mom would call it. So I didn't make that connection. I was just like, so we went from HBO Max to HBO Max. Why? Like to me, there's no connection to a brand and the type of shows, or like not even just a brand. There's no connection to a logo, to the type of shows that you put on your site, unless you make it, deliberately link the two.
Yeah.
And I mean, they don't have to, right? HBO Max does not have to mean more Game of Thrones esque shows, but that's the way they went. And it's just like, it was kind of like, I didn't make that connection that HBO Max meant, oh, we're going to get more uh, adult themes, which is fine. Like if that's where they think they can make their money. And I like that, the fact that they made fun of themselves, and it's I don't think it's ill received. I do think it's funny because I'll bring up my awesome girlfriend again. She had just found, or like been able to find HBO Max or Max on the Roku tiles. I don't move it. I don't move it, but because they changed the branding, and she's looking for, because they had just changed it actually, uh, between this and the other one. So it was HBO Max and it was whatever color, and then it was a bright blue, just Max, and they recently changed it to a dark with white lettering Max, and
Yeah.
now they're back to HBO Max. And so she had learned to find Max in blue, then they changed it. She completely lost because I guess she works off of colors and not like muscle memory on where the tile is. And could not find a Max for the life of her. And I was like, it's right there in black and white. And she's like, why'd they change the color? And so now they're changing it again, and so she's gonna have to relearn where it is. Even though I don't move the channels whatsoever, um, it's just gonna be fun to watch her struggle again.
Yeah, I think that is a perfect point to end off here and to say like branding matters. And I think they understand now how people had kind of put them in a corner and said, "You are HBO," and they make a lot of money.
I mean, I still call it HBO
Yeah,
Max,
yeah.
even if
I
it
don't know
was
who
Max.
stopped calling it
It's like
HBO.
Twitter, man.
Yeah,
I'm not calling that shit X.
yeah.
I'm not doing it.
No. And with that, we're going to go ahead and go to our final segment here, sticking with cinema news. Coming up after the break, Daniel Day-Lewis returns to acting. We get a Fallout Season 2. It's not only confirmed, we have a release date and a lot more. So stick around and we'll see you in just a second. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to segment 3. As always, we're going to start this segment by saying thank you for being here because it's kind of crazy. As always, we're an hour and 3 minutes, hour and 4 minutes in, and the fact that you're sticking around for this long is it really does mean a lot. So I hope you like the new layout. I hope it sounds just as good as it did on Discord because that CRISPR was that audio service that Discord has is nice. So I think it'll sound just as good. But if it doesn't, let us know and we'll do what we can to fix it. But if you like the tiles at the bottom with our names and whatever on them, if you like the ticker, if you like
If
us,
if you forget who we are.
yeah, right. Like it's gonna help for new people
Oh,
especially.
I forgot. what's this guy's name? It's right there.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. It's right there.
No, but seriously though, in all seriousness, Jake's being facetious, but I appreciate you and I thank you. So, as always, like, subscribe, do the thing, rate us, share us, tell your mom about it, and hopefully we can become your and her new favorite podcast. So, with that being said, it's a great time to go ahead and move into our third and final segment. We have more, we have trailers, we have a lot of news to still go through, and we're going to try to get you out of here a little bit quicker than last week where we went almost 2 hours. So, sorry about that. So, anyway, starting off, two-time Oscar winner Daniel Day-Lewis comes out of retirement. Focus Features has released the release date for the next Daniel Day-Lewis leading project called Anemone, which is like the, Finding Nemo, their house, the clownfish house, the thing in the coral reef, that thing. Anemone.
Shocked other fishes.
Yes, it hurts people. Or fish. I'm sure it hurts me. I wouldn't touch it. But if that's what it's called, it has a limited release, which will hit theaters October 3rd, and a wide release the following week, October 10th. The logline for the film is, quote, the film explores the complex and profound ties that exist between brothers, fathers, and sons. And I got that straight from Screen Rant. So I don't know what the heck that's about. That's an interesting logline. Like most loglines give you at least a little bit. That gives you nothing.
Maybe they're clownfish, and you know what happens when the mother fish dies?
Yeah.
Like the clownfish, the father actually becomes the mom, and so this is going to be like one of those.
That's like a Tusk level horror film.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So
I don't like that.
Daniel Day-Lewis is going to be portraying a trans woman, and going into the ties between
That is
brothers,
not
fathers,
where
and
I
sons.
was going with that, but that's okay.
That's what it is. That's the anemone is just the call to the clownfish from
Right.
Finding Nemo.
Right.
This is actually a retelling of Finding Nemo, just where Marlin turns into a woman.
I'll tell you why this gets a little bit stranger. You're talking about father and sons. Not only is this film co-written by Day-Lewis, it is also directed by his son Ronan Day-Lewis. It will also star Sean Bean, Samuel Bottomley, Safia Oakley Green, and Samantha Morton. So, an interesting stacked cast. Not bad. This is kind of what Day-Lewis does, though. Like he takes these films that aren't necessarily like hugely stacked, and he just kills it. So exciting. What did you think about Ronan Day-Lewis? I don't know what else he's done.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of you, kid.
I didn't know Mr. Daniel had a son, which I don't know what a lot of people. Let's see, Ronan. He's got red hair, and he is known for Anemone, The Sheep and the Wolf, and Snow and Sun, which that is a short. Sheep and the Wolf is a short, and Snow and Sun is a music video. So, not to sound, like I'm tearing him down any, but Mr. Daddy Daniel is helping bro out, letting him direct this film, which is awesome to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of help there. And I would hate to imagine that that's the only reason he got it. It's like,
no, he's got to have something behind him. I mean, he's shown that he wants to do music videos and shorts. It just helps that Daniel Day-Lewis co-wrote it and is allowing his son to direct it. Like, I don't know, but that's an awesome father-son flick, right? It's not just like, here you go, son. These are all the people I know, and here are all my connections. No, this is a co-story.
Yeah.
Written, and I'm sure Daniel will have some say, and I know Ronan's going to be directing, but come on, Daniel's going to help his son wherever he needs help, if he needs help at all. But
yeah, and I mean, like the thought is too is that like to see Ronan have the career, even if it's not like up to this point, it's not quite illustrious, but you get the sense, at least when I looked it up and saw his filmography, it felt like he had earned it. Like this, it's not like this is like he went, Dad, I want to direct, and his dad's like, okay. Like threw his name on the top of a script and then just got him to a production company. Like that's not what happened. This kid has experience. And I call him a kid. He's probably older than I am. But this dude, he has experience like directing. He's been in the business. Obviously, nepotism is bad, but like
he's 26.
Yeah, he's older than me. So it's like it's not like terribly bad if you work for it. It's like use your connections when you have them, because that's what people will say when it's not nepotism, is like take advantage of your network. But if that network is instilled in, you're looked down upon. As long as you're not silver spooned, I think it's fine. And he doesn't seem to be. I know he's 26, but he's done it before. Can you blame him for taking advantage early in life of an opportunity? Like, he's got it in his blood. Like, his dad is one of the greatest actors of all time. Why wouldn't he be interested in it? So it's like, as long as, like, he's got the repertoire, he seems to have the experience. You can see it in black and white. So it's like, I don't necessarily blame this one, and I'm excited. Daniel Day-Lewis, that's a name to get anyone in seats.
Yeah.
And so I look forward to seeing what Ronan can do, because if anything, I would love to see I want to see this film be ambitious, because I want to know that Ronan was like, I'm going to show you. Like, yes, my dad's in it. Yes, he co-wrote it, but this is my film. I directed this. And like, I want to see that handprint on that film. That would be really cool.
Yeah. And I think that this might be the right way to go about like using, I mean, that the family member connection, like I said, I mean, it is a project they both are actively involved in. It's not Daniel Day Lewis putting him, uh, letting him meet Spielberg and George Lucas or all of the greats,
Yeah.
and saying, "Here you go direct one of their films because I vouched for you."
Yeah.
Because that would be but now they're working together, which is also not a privilege that a lot of people have, but it's also a privilege he's able to have because, well, father and son, the
Yeah.
same as like my dad knows how to work on cars and therefore was passed down to me, and we work on cars, and now I know how to work on cars.
Yeah. You got to
Whereas
take
like
advantage
others
of
who,
that.
yeah, well, I'm going to take advantage of that. Now I know how to work on cars, where somebody else might not know how to work on cars because their dad didn't know how to work on cars. So it's kind of like am I, do I have nepotism because I work on cars now?
Well, on
I
top of
mean,
it too, it's like, from your parents' perspective, it's kind of their job, like, to teach
yes,
you, and
right.
especially if it's like something you're interested in, because like I'm assuming you have an interest in vehicles and working on, like, I know your motorcycle. We make the joke about you working on your motorcycle, but that is a
Yeah,
genuine interest for you. So it's like,
yeah,
your dad already knows how to do it. He sees you have an interest in it. Why wouldn't he help you and
right.
prepare you in life with that? And it's the same thing. It's just with a lot more money. It's like,
Yeah, like shout out dad when he found out that I was like going into film. He's like, I don't know anything about film. I know diddle squat, and like I know IT and I can build computers. So what does dad do? Is he builds me a computer that I can edit film with.
yeah,
He's like, this is the best I can do to help you in your journey, and
yeah,
just being the father figure, that's what fathers do. And so I don't blame, a lot of people will scream nepotism about this. It's inevitable.
yeah,
They'll scream it from the rooftops, but for this one I understand. I mean, hell, if I'm Daniel Day Lewis and my child wants to do it, this is probably the best way to get him started. I mean, he's already shown that he wants to do film,
yeah,
and probably went out and did it on his own. Now, yeah. However, he did that might raise question about nepotism and how he got the context to do that.
yeah,
But depending on the hard work and how this film turns out, we could have another big name. Then the Day Lewis name will
yeah.
grow.
And on that note, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic of discussion. We have Fallout has a new season coming on board. This was revealed during Amazon Prime's annual upfront presentation. So all the big production companies do this. They have a 75-minute in New York, like, kind of segment to where they can say what they've got coming up. Amazon took this opportunity to reveal the release date for their next season of Fallout, which happens to be in December, which is a delightful surprise to fans because of everything that's been happening with the wildfires and with the writer strikes. A lot of people did not think this would have a release date for this year and maybe even late next year. Turns out they wrapped filming early this year and they are running and gunning into a release date, and they've already confirmed season 3. So a huge push from Amazon for their arguably right now their most popular series. They're not wasting time, which I think a lot of people are excited to see because that's a big deal right now is wait times. You think about Beyond or Across the Spider-Verse. We haven't seen that yet. Like, we're still waiting on that. The Batman 2. Amazon's saying we're not dealing with it. Here you go. So executive producer Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy expressed their excitement for the show's continuation past this upcoming season, stating in a joint statement, quote, "On behalf of our brilliant cast and crew, our showrunners, and our partners at Bethesda. We're grateful to our incredible collaborators at Amazon MGM Studios and to the amazing fans as we continue our adventures in the wasteland together. So, Jake, what do you think about this?
I hope they don't sacrifice the quality for time,
Yeah.
right? And time falls into that triangle of price, quantity, quality. Quality will tank the faster you try to shoot it. So I am completely happy with the quick turnaround. I can't wait to see more of Walton Goggins in this because he's probably my one of my favorite characters in this whole universe.
Yeah.
Far. Um, One of the animes that was super popular this year has just ended within the past month or so, and they're saying like you might not see the season. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 for years.
Mm.
I mean, it could be 2030 before we see this anime come out again because they're saying it takes 6 months an episode. I think is what they said.
So, like,
And then, like,
why haven't you just been working on that already?
I don't I don't know, but like I'm pretty sure that that's the time frame that they said that it takes to draw and animate um the episodes. So, and it's an awesome looking show. Like if you told me that it takes 6 months, and I'd be like, okay, how many writers? Okay, two. Sure. 6 months for two people to make that awesome of a show. I don't know how many writers or drawing and animators they have, uh, but the quick turnaround is ideal in this sense because, as we talked before, is you lose the popularity. I mean, people forget
Yeah.
easily. I mean, it's an 8-second attention span nowadays. Having a 2-hour podcast just doesn't work anymore. Isn't that right, Ryan?
Hour
No, but,
16, baby.
yeah, yeah. So it's to hold somebody for an hour 16, they have to be on a road trip, right?
Yeah.
To hold somebody for 5 years, they've got to be involved, and you've got to have a pretty loyal fan base, and that means a small fan base because
Yeah.
nobody has the time to be that enveloped.
This
Nobody has it, but like,
Yeah. And this is what I'll say about that too is that like at that point you just have to like market a new show. You're essentially starting from scratch. Like
I mean, you have to build it back.
yeah, you have season 1 to say remember this, but then you have people who have to rewatch it and you have people who don't remember who like they get in 5 years a 10-year-old who won't remember that right now will be 15 and they will probably be very interested. Like that's a
Yeah.
big difference. So it's like, yeah, I want to go ahead and move on from this because, as we said, we're kind of like, I don't want to cut the conversation short, but to go back to this, it's nice to see Amazon doing something good for once and kind of cool. We talked just last week about the whole scrubbing of the beginning text about tyranny and vigilantes from a 2010 Robin Hood adaptation with Russell Crowe. That was weird.
Yeah.
But to see this come out this week, that's a good thing. And hopefully that's a precedent that is set.
That just means they're making a good business decision and not so much a good ethical
No,
decision.
but it is a business decision that you hope spreads because it's like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you don't want to sacrifice quality, but also you don't want people to forget. Like,
Nor do I want workers to be taken advantage of because we hear that far too often with these turnaround
yeah,
times.
turn it
Um,
around reasonably. Don't take too
Reasonably.
long. Don't push people to do it quicker. Just do it. Just get the people the
Hire
manpower
the
they need.
proper amount.
Yes.
Yeah. Manpower, hire the proper amount, pay them what they're worth, and you'll get it in time.
Exactly. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. Osgood Perkins lands a first look distribution deal with Neon. Not only does this tie the Longlegs and the Monkey creator to the independent outfit, for the foreseeable future, it also sees the creation of a new production banner called Phobos. So, having no idea where that name come from, but I'm interested to hear. With this deal, Neon will release all Perkins projects domestically and represent them internationally as well. Perkins has been a home run for Neon, having earned $128 million worldwide for Longlegs alone, and another $68.7 million for the Monkey, with which both of these had smaller budgets because Neon's an indie outfit, as I said earlier. This only makes sense because Neon is trying to push into kind of that mainstream media. So having a guy like a Perkins who can kind of draw in these smaller, these kind of like cult fan bases, that's exactly what you want to do. And so this is a perfect representation. So Neon CEO and founder Tom Quinn states, Quote, with Neon as his creative home, Oz will continue to cook, pushing the boundaries of his ever-expanding cinematic universe. We're thrilled to be along for the ride with Phobos and Osgood Perkins, which is interesting because I didn't realize, and I hadn't seen The Monkey because it didn't interest me, but I did watch Longlegs, and it was okay. It kind of let me down a little bit. Going back to good marketing, like it just had great marketing.
Didn't your
Which
brother watch The Monkey?
I think he did, and I think he said it was dumb.
Oh,
I don't remember. Maybe he said he liked. No,
we
he
had
said it
him
was
on here.
hilarious. You're
We
right.
had him on here, and
You're
he
right.
was
I
like,
forgot.
"The Monkey."
I forgot. He did say it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes, he said he loved it. So maybe it's something that to give a watch to. But the idea is that you have this guy who is making these films that people love. Like, why wouldn't you bring him in? Even if like you're indie outfit, so you're not spending hundreds of millions, just make your money. And I think this only makes the most sense in the world. So Perkins also put input stating, quote, ever hear the one about the filmmaker who madly loves his distributor? No. That's because I think this might be the very first time it's happened in our business where even brief phone calls can be rough. Meanwhile, here I am with Neon like, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. I couldn't be happier. Brother is
He's got a little
stoked.
crush on
Yeah.
his distributor.
Tom also in his like going back to the first guy who the quote I read was Neon CEO. He also said Oz is relentlessly funny. So it's kind of interesting to watch them go back and forth. They really like each other.
It's like if I was a distributor and Ryan was my.
We do that anyway.
Yeah. It's like, no, you hang up. That's what we do when the podcast actually ends.
You hang
And-
up, Jake.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, we kind of have to get this episode out.
No, they can wait. Yeah. But the next Perkins and Neon release will be this October, a film called Keeper. And now I wanted to put a log line. I wanted to say, here you go. There's nothing. Like
Nothing.
October release date, like that's what, like 5 months away?
Not very long.
Nada. I've not seen anything. So I don't know. It's got an IMDb page, but it's just like from the mind of Longleg creator. Like literally on IMDb, it's just like it's like a commercial read. So I don't know. You tell me, audience. You put in the comments what you've heard. I would love to hear. And lastly, we have trailers that we're going to get to, but our last big piece of news that we're going to discuss today is none other than Sesame Street. It finds a new home, landing a streaming rights deal with Netflix. So not long after Warner Brothers didn't renew their partnership with a long-running children's show and the potential loss of government funding, which again, there's a lot of politics recently, and I'm sorry, but that's just what's been going on. The long-running children's educational program will now begin airing new episodes on Netflix. So Warner Brothers Discovery, we talked about it earlier, they're gearing more towards, I mean, I don't have to go into depth about this. This is just kind of the fallout from what we talked about earlier. They're gearing back towards the adult audience because that's what gets them money, and they realize that the kids stuff doesn't work. So, at least not for them. So they let Sesame Street walk. They let PBS go. They stopped all communications. They didn't go back to negotiations. They said, we're not making a deal with you because it doesn't fit our brand anymore. So when that happened, Sesame Street and PBS were like, we're going house hunting. And that they did. And they landed a great deal because not only did they land on Netflix, which is arguably, there's not even arguably, it's a lot bigger than Warner Brothers. I would still say it's the biggest streamer right now. I'd say Disney Plus is probably the one that combats with it. They also now retain the rights to airing their episodes at release. So you might be asking, what does that mean? Warner Brothers had a deal with Sesame Street to where new episodes of the franchise would go onto Max, only for it to go onto television or their kids platform, PBS Kids, their app, months later. So it would be on Max for like 2 or 3 months before it could ever see the light of day anywhere else, which is not really very PBS-like. That's not very, the whole point of PBS is it's accessible. And so maybe it was for the better. With Netflix, they can now just send it everywhere. The second it's on Netflix, it's on PBS, it's on whatever, like, because they're on all the platforms now. They're on all, like, DirecTV or whatever. They could release it there, and they could release it on their app personally. So a big win for them. So this is a huge deal. On top of it, we're going to see a reimagining of their programming. So season 56 is coming up, and they're going to do more blocking. The segments are going to be a little bit longer. It's not going to be quite what they've done in the past few years. So, Jake, what do you think about Sesame Street and their new look and their new home?
Rare Netflix W here. I'll use the young people terms, but like Netflix taking these guys in after they didn't get a home, right? They don't have a home, and obviously everybody was scared. I mean, hell, like Elmo was tweeting that like he was out of a job, and it was like so sad that like Elmo was was I don't even remember the tweets, but Elmo himself was tweeting that he was very sad about what had happened and how PBS had lost funding and he's out of a job and he doesn't know where he's going to go. And Netflix has swooped in and saved it. And obviously, and I don't know if you plan to read this or forgot to, the financial stability
Yeah.
for Sesame Street now with that longer blocking and reimagined programming, this is going to be a revitalized um, level of Sesame Street we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah,
So
I'm happy you brought that up because there were a lot of layoffs that were happening. And that's just in the last few months. Who knows how long this has been going on because of the deal that Warner Brothers had them under? How much did that restrict them?
right, right.
So
So it's just going to be an interesting, like, we're going to see Sesame Street take off. I know that like Netflix hosts a lot of other kids shows, and I think that's why Netflix is a big deal. I mean, they were kind of the first ones to do it, and then I mean, like, isn't Cocomelon on there, and like among all the other brain rot children TV shows or whatever that we
yeah,
want to call it, but like the amount of kids shows on there, and then you've got Sesame Street. It's just like, who doesn't have Netflix nowadays? I mean, me, but I feel like I'm an outlier. I think a lot of people have Netflix. A lot of people have kids, and I just think it's easy to throw on Sesame Street. A whole lot easier than that other I would call lesser than, because I am from the Sesame Street era, and I'm gonna say that Sesame Street, I hold it in a higher regard than
yeah,
maybe Cocomelon, because I trust that they're actually gonna teach, right? I mean, 56 seasons. There's a reason they're still around.
yeah.
Um, so this is a massive plus. Awesome for Netflix, beneficial for the viewers, the audience, and so I think Netflix is going to make money maybe off of it, off of people. It's like, well, Sesame Street's on Netflix now,
Yeah.
and so and I want to watch other things on Netflix as well. And a lot of people don't really have over the air or paying for direct TV anymore. Not a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
So or can't afford it, right? 7.99 for ads on Netflix is a lot more affordable than $140 a month
That's what I pay
for
for.
Dish.
Yep.
So I see households that need it. I see them going to Netflix if they don't already have it.
And the more that Netflix goes on, and we'll go ahead, but we have one more segment or one more quick news topic, and it's just a bunch of trailers. We'll go through kind of the plethora because there were a lot that released last week, and we're just going to talk about the one or two that we were really interested in, and then end. But to stick with Netflix and specifically Sesame Street, Netflix is slowly becoming the place for public television. Like it is slowly becoming what where you have like Amazon and Disney and even Max that are like they're still kind of in a niche. Netflix is taking the very cable television approach. And I don't think I dislike it. A lot of I had been reading too. They had their upfront in New York, and 15 of their 75 minutes were discussing how ads are going to be tailored to their viewers. Like the headline I had read was, it used to be the content was their main goal. Now it's you. Now it's the audience. It's not just, you are their main topic now because it's all about you reading or taking in those ads because 90% of people are going to take the $8. It doesn't bother me to watch a movie and have an ad every now and then. Of course, for me, it just gives me a break. So it's like I'm kind of out of the I guess like the popular opinion because if I'm in a movie theater, I better not get an ad. But like also if I'm at home and I'm watching a really good show or a really good movie and it's like I have to use the bathroom and a 30-second ad comes on, great, pause the ad, I'm going because I'm already paused. So anyway, the
Yeah.
point is that's a little off topic, but Netflix is taking that cable television route and I don't dislike it. I don't. I like the idea that Netflix's big conglomerate, there's a lot of room where this could turn sour. But the big
Yeah.
conglomerate standing up for the little guys and PBS, 85% of their funding comes from donations. So it's like they will be fine, but 15% is government funded. And if the government decides they don't want to fund them anymore, this keeps PBS around, which I like.
Right.
Which I like because
And
you need that educational programming.
yeah. And from a marketing standpoint, the tailored ads is awesome. Because like I'm not shooting a shotgun at audiences trying to hit them with like, so I work at a heavy equipment dealership, and Like if we wanted to pay for ads on HBO or Netflix or Amazon, like I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the people who can buy or use, I mean, blue collar, older, like that's the demographic that are buying these excavators. So we don't really look to Netflix or HBO to like run ads,
Yeah.
and a lot of them don't. It's print. A lot of people like flyers and magazines and newspapers print
Oh,
ads
dude.
in the equipment guides or whatever like at Dairy Queen there used to be a stand where you could pick up like all the used car dealers and where they print it out. They have that for excavators and tractors and
Dude,
things like
people
that.
underestimate the power of physical media still. Like, dude, like it is
Yes.
shocking. Like, so I'm you, but for like a university towards students and towards like the surrounding community. So it's like the amount of content people want to take from a physical piece of paper is insane.
Yeah. So because you're constantly fighting digitally to be in front of them, whereas paper is you don't have to fight at all.
Yep.
Um, but now, I mean, it is by force showing you an ad from Netflix. So the demographics and tracking and cookies and whatnot. Now Netflix knows who you are based upon I watch only Jason Statham movies, and I liked The Accountant and Accountant 2, and I watched John Wick, and like these are the films I watch. You're probably a guy I work with, and you might be interested in heavy equipment. And so that's what makes it so much easier. And that's just a look in from the marketing side in terms of ads
Yeah.
on Netflix.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and go into our final topic of discussion today. There were a lot of trailers, of which include we have Nobody 2, Superman. We have Ironheart, the Amazing World of Gumball reboot series that's going on. I think it's going to be on Max. Hey, they released a teaser. F1 the movie with Brad Pitt released a trailer. And there were so many, and we've known you've seen them, but there's a few we want to talk about today. Firstly, and Jake has a lot. I mean, you've added a lot here into the script, Jake.
If not,
For
I added 4
Superman.
screenshots.
No, you also added a little bit underneath there. Jake, you have
Uh,
something to say about Superman.
so teaser to the trailer, there have been two. So one was a kind of teasing Superman coming out, and then the trailer just dropped, and there were CGI changes to this trailer compared to the teaser. So as you can see on the screen, if you are watching visually, the before the cape's not very prominent, and then the after the cape gets a lot more like screen um, space, and it's more prominent, and whether or not that means something.
Oh,
Secondarily,
that's
somebody
pixelated.
throws a can, it's very bad, but somebody throws a can at Superman in the back of his head and he blinks, he flinches when he doesn't have to. In the CGI trailer, he doesn't blink. He takes the can as a omnipotent
Yeah,
being
yeah.
would. Superman would not blink. He probably wouldn't even feel it. He wouldn't flinch. He wouldn't move. He's the man of steel. A tin can bouncing off his head wouldn't do a dang thing. However, people are saying that it him blinking spoke more than him not. Like it just meant more because he is supposed to be like this he's a superhero who cares about the people so much so that someone throwing something at his head, even though he didn't, quote unquote, feel it, he felt it, and him blinking was like a physical reaction or emotional reaction that somebody hates him so much to throw something at him.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people on like Reddit and comment sections are like they're asking for the blink cut and to give Snyder another $1 million to finish the blink cut, poking at the Justice League. Um, so, and then just a quote from Reddit: "The blink was less of a physical reaction to the impact and more of an emotional gut punch that somebody hates him so much to um, do that to him." So a lot of people are like, "Don't take the blink out. It means that much more," because in the trailer we see how emotional he gets
Yeah.
about the fact that he was trying to save lives, and and it's got to do something with politics and diplomacy and foreign affairs and all of that. Where to him, he's acting as himself, Superman, saving lives regardless of where they are in the world. Whereas politics will spin it either way. They don't want you saving lives elsewhere, outside of the country, because this is not America. This is, what is it, Metropolis, or where are
Yeah.
we at? Yeah. So, but they don't want him going and saving people's lives elsewhere because they may not align with them politically. But Superman doesn't see it that way, and he has an outburst during an interview with Lois Lane. But
Yeah. I I feel
this
like
is the Superman we want, right?
the thing is too is that the why did they take the blink out is because people were
Right.
judging it is because like I mean the thing is this film I've seen a lot of hate for everything it does and I feel like it's so unfounded. It's because they're mad about Henry Cavill. I mean that's it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you give him one movie, like give the guy one because the thing is what you just talked about hit that conversation with Lois Lane where he's arguing about like I was doing it myself, I saved people. That just feels so Man of Steel. That feels
Yeah.
so the guy. Like so I feel like he looks the part. I feel like he's acting like you see him in the trailer, he feels the part. So I would love to see him in the film before I judge. If I could walk out, the thing is I say that now. I could walk out and say, "You know what? He just isn't Superman." And that's fine.
Yeah.
If you feel that way, that is fine. But don't hate on it, if nothing else, for the other people who might like it. Because
I see more people saying that this is the most comic accurate Superman we've gotten in a while, and that Henry Cavill's the way that he was told to act was be stern and show no emotion, whereas Superman is supposed to be the one who cares so much that it brings him to tears when he can't save somebody.
yeah, it was weird. The Batman vs Superman with Ben Affleck was like their roles were almost reversed. Is that like the Batman is like, yes, he's emo, but he's also like the emotional one, and it's just not supposed to be that way. He's supposed to be that prepared, yes, because he's afraid, but also because he is stern, and like he is like
Yeah.
he just is no nonsense, and he wants to be prepared, not because you make me angry, like it just was so emotional, and so you would think that would be Superman because why would Superman attack a mortal? Essentially, it's because he gets emotionally involved, and Batman just coaxes him into it. So yeah,
Rage
I
bait.
completely rage bait, literally rage bait. Arthur, say, why did you say that name? Yeah, terrible.
Oh man. But moving on from like Superman, because I'm so excited for that. I agree with people. This might be one of the more comic accurate ones. And I enjoy the emotion that he's portrayed. Um, I see a lot of people talking crap about Ironheart. Um, I
Yeah,
don't know if that's founded or not. I watched the trailer and it's just kind of like meh, And this was one that was rushed, right? This television series, it's not a movie. It is a television series on Disney Plus, through Marvel. We saw a little bit of this actor and this character in the Black Panther movies with after Chadwick Boseman. So is that the number three?
I think it's
Black Panther 3.
2. I don't think we got a second Black Panther movie, unless we did. I don't remember.
We did. We got Namor,
Oh, that's
right?
right. So it is 3.
I think.
I think you're right. No, you're
I
exactly
don't
right.
remember.
You're exactly right.
I don't remember. So we saw a little bit of this character then, and then now, but a lot of people are saying is like this was rushed. Like this was after obviously the Kang kind of screwed up the whole timeline. The actor behind Kang had the legal problems, and he's been acquitted, but it kind of threw the whole timeline off where Disney got rid of him and never recast Kang, and they didn't really know. So Ironheart kind of got pushed out. They done filming and they sat on it for a few years, and it was like, well, let's just turn it out, and then
Yeah.
that's what they did, and it's not that good. I don't think a lot of people are gonna watch it.
We were wrong, by the way. There are only 2 Black Panther films.
Oops.
Namor's in the first one.
So Namor was the okay.
Yep.
All right. Sorry.
No,
I,
no,
I,
no.
I did not watch the second. I liked the first one. I did not watch the second one.
I feel like there's been no good character development with this.
Mm,
Like you got to think. I think that I don't even want to call it founded. I think that the hate comes from the fact that this person, this character, this is replacing Tony Stark.
Well, yeah, that too. That doesn't help.
and we don't know who they are.
Right.
That's a big deal. Like that's not just a small like mistake.
Yeah. Here's your stepdad. You have to like
Yeah,
him.
it's like okay, like there are a lot of characters like
I'm
so
not
you
gonna call him dad.
Iron Man has a daughter.
Yeah.
Also, the kid that was in Iron Man 3 that was at the funeral,
Right.
what's he doing? Like that's an emotional attachment you immediately have. I have nothing against the casting. I just where's the development? Where's like why? Because I feel like there's a lot of people that could take this in ways that it's not. But like, why should we care? We don't have a reason to right now. Will that change? I hope so. But yeah, I see the trailer and I now all of a sudden I see stuff about it because of the trailer. But it's like, who is this person? And it's just like again, like you said, this is replacing Tony Stark.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I do think that this is another good off point here to move on. The other one I'm really excited for is Nobody 2.
Really.
I thought that Nobody was going to be a Taken 3 ripoff that was like not good, just another beat 'em up. Bob Odenkirk
Yeah.
did amazing.
I think number two is gonna be that though. I don't see it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see nobody two working out.
I think the trailer looks fun. I could it should it have stopped after 1 probably. But also, it looks fun.
Yeah. So, I didn't really have opinion on the F1 movie with Brad Pitt. It's just
None.
not. I mean,
I
and
didn't
I'm a
have
car guy.
dude. The one with David Arbor,
Yeah.
when they came out I had no interest in that one. I just don't think those. I like sports movies, but like those films, like this feel. And the thing is, it'll probably be fantastic, and I'll probably be coaxed into watching it. I'll probably be like, oh, you know what, do it again. But like it just right now in this moment, I have zero interest.
Yeah,
Just
and
not.
I'm even a car guy, and I don't really like. I'm into F1 and stuff like that, but like this movie is just like, I don't know. Yeah, Brad Pitt. I mean, he looks awesome. He looks like he's a gruff kind of guy, but
Yeah.
um, I'm sure my my coworkers will watch it.
Yeah.
But and then you wanted me to talk about Lilo and Stitch.
Yes. So before this will be the very last thing we talk about. Before we do that, I
Okay.
do want to have a quick note. We do understand that the Cannes Film Festival is happening. The 77th edition of the biggest film festival in the world in France is happening right now, and there's a lot of news. I.e., one of the things I can just share real quick: Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme had a 6.5 minute, 7 minute standing ovation, which is the longest thus far. People love this film. Yeah,
I can't wait for it.
They're saying the fact that Wes Anderson just now found Michael Cera and is using him the way he is a travesty because he's doing so well.
Yeah.
Obviously, those two were like born for each other. But what I will say is that there's so much to talk about with just and it's just constant. I usually upgrade or update the schedule every like 2 or 3 days, like until Sunday. Like, so I'm looking at it 3 times. Like after, like I'll look at it, I'll create it tonight, like next week's, like I'll just the document. I'll look at it Wednesday, add some stuff, but very loosely. Friday, I'll add more, and Sunday I'll finalize. Then if something happens on Monday, I'll add in as needed. There's been so much happening at this film festival that it's impossible. So instead of just giving you a half-baked anything, I just want to tell you I see it and I know it's happening. I cannot go into it because it would take the entire episode. So instead, I'm going to wait till after its conclusion, and then we'll retroactively go back and talk about the biggest points and add in the little things that are interesting because there's so much. Cannes effectively is a market. It is a film market, like as are most film festivals. But this one especially so is like you show up to this film festival, you don't even have to have a finished film. You show up with an idea and you sell it. And so that's a lot of the reason why I'm like, I'm not going to be jumping into this. But anyway, go ahead with Lilo and Stitch.
I don't know if this information is founded in truth or I don't have a source for it. It was a TikTok. Ryan might be able to back me up on the source, maybe. But I've been told that, and well, dang, now is name escapes me. The main antagonist. Um,
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I'll tell you.
uh,
Sorry. My white balance went all crazy there for a second. I had to fix it.
Captain Gantu,
Yep, that's it.
big shark looking guy. Uh, he's he's the one that Stitch bit at the beginning, and we've seen him. Like, don't we see him in the anyway? Apparently, he's not going to be in the movie, and he's not going to be the antagonist. He's not even in the movie. It's actually going to be Jumba and Pleakley. Jumba's going to be a little bit more evil in this sense, and then Cobra Bubbles is going to be also pushed into the more antagonist role. The rumor that that I was worried with the hologram disguises, and we don't get Pleakley in a wig, the trans alien. Um, but you take out, I mean, you're taking out key pivotal people from a story that all you had to do was just tell frame by frame. It's gonna flop, man. There's people saying they're not gonna go if
I'm
you
I'm
Cobra
telling
Bubbles
you,
into a bad person.
they tricked us. They released all the stuff that looks good. They released all the stuff. The order of which this information is released is intentional because they knew people would be mad. And you know what it sounds like? Why are Jumba and Pleakley, why are they not just CGI'd in their drag?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, like, that's a question. Why? It's more expensive.
Yeah.
And to have, what's his name? Captain what? Sorry?
Gantu.
Gantu. Thank you. To have Captain Gantu running around would cost a lot of money.
Because he's massive.
He's a
right?
big dude. Yeah, he towers over everything. So
Yep.
that is why I think that's a travesty. And I am actually angry about it because we've been talking about how this is going to be a bona fide success. They're going to make $1 billion. This looks so great. This is the one thing. Like, we've been comparing it to the shot-for-shot live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon. And
Right.
now here we
And
are.
I've not seen anything bad about that one
We're
yet.
4 days out.
Yeah.
And now we're all of a sudden getting Captain Gantu's not in there. Jumbo and Pleakley and Cobra Bubbles are bad guys. It's like that's not the same story.
No.
This is and it's gonna I worry. I hope it's still good because we talked about Lilo and Stitch a lot. Jake, you love it a lot more than I do, I think. But
Well,
I did grow up watching
yeah.
I grew up watching Lilo and Stitch too. This
Yeah.
is why I'm so against them, is because of stuff like this.
Yeah. I mean, I even see I'm looking at the images right now of Captain Gantu, and there's literally a Inside the Magic a day ago. It's like a entertainment blog. Fans shocked and angry as live action Lilo and Stitch cuts major character, and it's a big X over Gantu. Um, and they're talking like, how do you tell the same story?
You don't. I mean, like you don't. So it's what's going to happen is, instead of Jumbo and Pleakley falling in love with Lilo and the family and becoming a part of the family, it's going to be everything that Gantu was doing is what they're going to do. So they're going to do the giant spaceship like race. But you know what they're going to do? One of the biggest and most interesting fun facts about Lilo and Stitch, we have to say this because we have to wrap this up because we're over an hour 45. They changed it from a plane to a spaceship because of 9/11. At the very end of the film, when Stitch is flying the big red spaceship, they're going to combine those two things, and you're going to see Stitch flying a plane, and Jumbo and Pleakley are going to be flying the red thing chasing him. Guaranteed. I would put money on it. I would put money on it that's what's going to happen. They're going to combine the two because, whatever, and that's what's going to happen. Everything that you saw, just imagine how that film played out. That's how they're classifying it as a remake, is because it's going to follow the roughly the same beats. But everywhere that Gantu was, put Jumba.
Dude, but the problem is like,
that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. Like the whole it's supposed to be. There was so much character development between all of them.
They learn how to be human. They learn how to have emotion, and that's like the point. And they're probably going to be like at the very end. You know that scene at the very end where like that general that whatever is like, this is your family? She's like tall, the squid looking thing. That's just gonna be Jumba. It's just gonna be Zach Galifianakis going, wait a minute, you love her? And he's gonna be like, oh, and then like, whatever. It's gonna be stupid.
Yeah.
And with that, unless Jake, do you have anything else you want to add?
They better not make a second one.
They did make a second one in real life.
Oh yeah, but they can't make a second one now.
Yeah. I don't know. With that being said, that's been our show. Emily, do you want to hop back in and say goodbye to our lovely audience? Here she comes.
Her white balance is way. She can't.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Look, she's got food.
She's got.
like,
We're narrating you. We can't hear you. Where's your audio?
Hey guys,
Yay!
I'm back. I said I've gained food and drink since we last spoke. It's just so entertaining. I have to be like shoveling food in my mouth, like popcorn or something.
Look at us.
yep, look at us.
Man, maybe we should go live. Maybe we should
Yeah.
live stream. A director
agree.
says yes.
Not now, but later.
Later.
Coming to you live after a whole episode. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You have enough content for it. You definitely could.
Dude, I know. And on that note, we're approaching an hour 50 very fast. That's been our show. Thank you so much for just sticking around with us. I could go on and be a sap all day, but I do that once this episode already. Thank you, Jake, for sticking around and conversing with me. Emily, we're so excited to have you, and she's going to be a regular staple, so get used to hearing that voice all the time because I would love her opinions as well. And if you saw any mistakes today, which there were a few, that was Emily.
Yep. And I was lagging. That's
just-
also her.
I say that as a joke. It's me.
Okay, I will be blaming everything on you afterwards. then,
Okay. Thank
going
you.
forward.
Thank you.
We
And on that
expect
note,
love.
we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Goodbye.